subscribe.
He has also talked about it. That left hook is so good, and it's so long and so precise and so hard, but
What's going on, boxing fans? It's Backchat TV and I'm back with another video. So this is just a quick recap basically of some of the fights that happened on the weekend, starting with Kongo defeats trash talking rival Florian Marku. This was a welterweight bout. As you know, Marku was a champion and he's very good with the trash talk. He was very disrespectful as usual, and you know, if you know anything about Florian Marku, either love him or hate him, but he definitely has a character. These two had a long-standing rival, and a lot was said. Marku seemed to believe that Kongo would have no chance against him, and that seemed to give Kongo fuel to really do his best. He was 1 year out of the ring, but he said he stayed in the gym, and it really showed up in the fight. Marku was the favourite. Kongo basically put on a masterclass. It was a very, very good performance. I'd give him an 8 out of 10 for his performance. Early on, I think the first round and the second round, as expected, Florian Marku put the pressure on Kongo straight away. Kongo was on the back foot. Florian Marku was stalking and throwing lots of shots. He landed a few, but after the second round, I would say Kongo, he got his rhythm and he started controlling him with that jab, much more accurate with the jab. He followed up with the right hand and caught Marku flush. He doesn't have a lot of power, Kongo, I would say, but you know, he was very quick in there, very fast. He was moving lateral movement, moving back. He was tying him up when he would get on the inside, and he was doing a lot of good things in there, Kongo. Really good. I didn't think he would necessarily win against Marku. I wasn't sure. I wanted to actually see this fight because they're both good fighters. They're at a certain level. They're not world class, but they're good fighters. And Marku is actually a decent fighter, but I think he got his tactics completely wrong in this fight. I'll tell you what I think went wrong for Marku. Marku was headhunting. That was the biggest issue he had. He was up against a guy who got in great shape. He set a fast pace, Kongo. Like I said, he had that laser jab moving, and he kept it up for 10 rounds. I didn't think he could keep up that pace for 10 rounds, but he did. Never gave Marku a chance to get close the way Marku needs to get close to be effective. He was just faster, sharper, way more athletic. Marku looked like he was in good shape also, but he was just a few steps behind Kongo all night. Kongo was moving around the ring generalship was on point, and he just did everything. He used at times when he had to back off, he used the ropes. He was moving his head, he was ducking, he was clinching at the right times. Marku just couldn't get anything off on the inside. On the outside, he was getting beaten by the jab. He did catch Kongo with a few eye-catching shots, but he was just headhunting too much. After a few rounds, the fourth, the fifth round, he was getting outboxed. He should have started going to the body because he should have noticed that Kongo is in great shape, much more athletic, and he needed to slow Kongo down to have a chance, but he kept trying to catch him with big shots. And fair play to Marku. Marku has put out a lot of his opponents. So he was going for his normal, power shots. But by the sixth round, when you can see that you're not landing them, at the latest, he should have started going to the body to slow Kongo down. And he just kept headhunting, and it just never paid off for him. He got outboxed, thoroughly outboxed. And Kongo won a unanimous decision, I believe it was. And Marku was a little bit of a sore loser at the end, as usual. He didn't change his character. Kongo now the new champion at welterweight. Good performance by Kongo. I definitely think he showed that he's got some talent there. And he's only lost twice, if I remember correctly. I know he lost to Echo Usman, but that was quite a close fight as well. So maybe a rematch there. British level, European, is he ready for a step up like European level? I'm not sure, but definitely, bright future. Moving on, we have a controversial character, definitely controversial character in Ben Whittaker. He went the distance for the first time in his career against Leon Willings. Ben Whittaker, just before I speak about the fight, just going to say a little bit about him. He's an up-and-coming rising star. Ben Whittaker is getting a lot of attention at the moment, mainly for his showboating in the ring, which some say is excessive, some say it's disrespectful, and others say that it's exciting and brings a new, excitement to the sport. Some say he's arrogant, some say he's confident. He's definitely a polarizing character. Definitely like Marmite, you either love him or hate him. Personally, I've just started watching Ben Whittaker. I know that he got a silver medal, I think, in the Olympics. But it's kind of a funny situation with Ben Whittaker, whether you like him or not, because his antics in the ring doesn't fully tell the story of his personality, and it's not a reflective part of his whole personality at all, because I've seen the man in interviews. Many interviews, I watched a documentary on him, and his life and his actual character, he's actually very humble. His character in real life, in interviews, is very different to his persona in the ring. So I think the people that are saying he's arrogant and they don't like him, I think they should just hold their horses a little bit and just watch him in interviews and watch his actual character, and then they'll kind of understand him a little bit more, hopefully. Seeing those sides, both sides to him, has given me a more, like an overall kind of idea of his mindset and why he does these antics and stuff. And it's not what you would think. For example, in the interviews, he speaks very humble. He talks about his humble beginnings, being on food stamps and his family not having money. His father being quite disillusioned with him because he failed at a lot of things. He wasn't good at school. He wasn't good at reading. He got diagnosed with ADHD quite early on, and it affected his life a lot. He got a lot of jobs. He didn't have good concentration and focus. He lost every job that he's ever been in because of having a bad focus. And he played football, but he didn't make it in football. He was told he had to leave the pitch after he had a few red cards apparently, because of the same kind of thing, lack of focus. And this is mainly due to his ADHD apparently. So he said that how it affected him is that he kind of felt a bit like a failure. He knew that he had potential to do something, but he didn't know what. He didn't know what he liked. He didn't know what direction his life was going in. And then he found boxing, and he realized that this is what he loves to do, and he loves the fact that he had something to dedicate himself to. He got him discipline, which he said he lacked discipline. He lacked all the things that you see that he has now. He said he lacked all of that, and boxing gave him this kind of focus, kind of direction. And when he's in the ring, he says that he respects his opponents and stuff, but with him, it's more like an self-expression, just like a dancer or a performer in some way wants to kind of perform. That's what he loves to do. From the ring walk to, when he's in the ring, he said he feels comfortable. And he has a background in ballet and dance, which I think his mum got him involved in. And he's just an athletic type of guy. But the thing that's interesting is he said he had to kind of make a bit of a transition because he's actually kind of a joker. He always used to be a bit of a class clown, make people laugh. And he likes to make jokes and things like that. And that translates in the ring. And his trainers have told him, to focus a bit more on the fight rather than, this kind of comical thing. So he seems like this is what he's really trying to do. So definitely a strange character, but I think that people should kind of welcome him a bit because it's good for the sport to have different characters, to have different types of fighters. Where do I stand on it? Now, like I said, hearing two sides, seeing both sides of his character in the interviews, I think he's a humble guy who's found confidence in boxing, and he just loves to express himself. And people shouldn't stop people's expression. Yes, I think maybe it could be curtailed. I think he does a bit too much sometimes. But I think now he's got to focus on the boxing and the finishing the opponents. Now he's come up against a tough guy in Leon Willings. Leon Willings, I'm quite proud of Leon Willings' performance. You know, he didn't get starstruck like a lot of people. He ate a lot of shots early on, but I think he started to relax near the middle of the fight. Started to realise that maybe Ben Whittaker is not as powerful as he thought. He caught Ben Whittaker a few times when he was showboating, which just goes to show maybe he's not as quick as he thought. Maybe he can be hit, and I think he started to grow in confidence, Leon Willings. And I think he could have done more, Willings. You know, he was kind of, in certain instances, he was matching him for speed, because I think he realised early on that he had to be faster if he was going to have any chance. And he made that adjustment, catching Ben Whittaker with a few shots. He was able to take his power early on. I think he stayed in a defensive posture a bit too long. There were opportunities where he could have come forward and landed some shots of his own, but I think that was the only thing that was missing. But 10 out of 10 for effort. He went the distance. He was a tough man. He was difficult. He took a lot of shots and never looked wobbled. Well, he did look wobbled a few times, but after, you know, the first couple of times that he took some hard shots, he got used to the power, and it was a real test for Ben Whittaker. Ben Whittaker, he looked good also. Rather than just knocking out these tomato cans, they put a real fighter in front of him, and I think he showed stamina. You know, when all the showboating goes out the window and you can't get your man out there with one punch, he had to rely on real boxing skills, and I think he did that. He did that, definitely. He was working the jab, being elusive. There were times when he looked a bit tired. I could see that he was getting a bit tired, but you know, his ring generalship was really good. There was little times when he took a little step back and then he'd come forward again. Willings may have done well to try to work the body, because it was a bit difficult headhunting someone like him. But overall, I would say Ben Whittaker is a potential talent. At the moment, he's fighting, you know, low-level opposition, but everyone has to start somewhere. But you can definitely see he's talented. Maybe he lacks a bit of power. That might be something that's a weakness. As for the showboating, you know, I like it. I do think it can be a bit excessive, but in general, I wouldn't try to stop him from doing what he does. I don't think he's arrogant. I think he's confident, and there is definitely a difference. I don't think his intention is to disrespect his opponents. I think his intention is to put on a great show for the fans, and you know, showcase his talent. And I think that's what he's really trying to do. He seems very respectful, other than that. But it was a good fight. Like I said, it went the distance. I think Willings, a bit disappointed in the fact that Willings, I think, could have done more. But, you know, both newbies really to this. Willings, I think, will give a lot of other fighters a tough fight. He seemed like a good prospect. But Whittaker did really well. And I think, you know, he trains hard, and I think he just wants to showcase all these skills in the ring, and that's what we're seeing with the showboating. So I'm not really on the side that he's disrespectful. You know, I think that he's a good British talent, and I want to see how far he goes. In regards to, you know, what level is he at, I don't think they should put him in with some of these guys that he said he can beat. He's just a confident young man who wants to fight the best, but he's definitely not ready for the best. He's not ready for, a Dan Aziz or someone like that, of that level, that has done all these things. Despite how confident and athletic and gifted he is, still have to kind of get them up the ranks slowly. You don't want to throw them in with Boazzi or, you know, these light heavyweights that are at the top. Anthony Yard, you know, a lot of these fighters, you can't throw him in with these tough guys that are punching really hard. I don't think he really has the power yet. He hasn't grown into his power yet to fight some of these guys that are, you know, 18-0 and stuff like that. So yes, definitely a good prospect at the moment, but You know, he's only a prospect at the moment. Definitely one to watch out for. Swiftly on to the next fight of this card. We had, this was at the O2 Arena, by the way. We had Alan Babic versus Steve Robinson. This was another heavyweight fight. I know that Babic has gone from heavyweight and then gone down to bridgerweight. But now this fight he had with Steve Robinson was at heavyweight. Steve Robinson, I think he's 6'7" or something like that. Calls himself Drago. He does resemble Drago in the Rocky movies. Unfortunately, he didn't fight as well as Drago in the movie because the Savage was back. And I do like Alan Babic. Say what you want about him. You know, he just puts it all on the line. If you want excitement, watch one of his fights. He comes to give excitement every time. Throws caution to the wind, and you know, you're in for an exciting time. And he does have some defense, although, you know, for obvious reasons, I wouldn't say defense was his main thing. But you know, he's got good balance. He always throws, you know, punches where he can kind of come back with a left hook, come back with a right hook. Steve Robinson, he looked like an amateur. Basically, he looked like an amateur. He is 6'7" apparently. He didn't use his jab. He didn't use at least his lead hand to control Babic when he was coming in. He didn't really have skills personally, you know. He fought close range. He never kept his hands up, despite the fact that his corner was shouting and screaming to him to keep his hands up. You know, he ate a lot of flush shots from Alan Babic. It could have been stopped way earlier, to be honest. But you know, it was what it was. I can't say it's a good performance because he didn't show any real skills. But Babic did what he had to do, and he looked good. You know, he didn't look like anything has changed from, you know, the original Babic, the Savage. He was still the same, throwing those mean shots with mean intentions. And Robertson just couldn't get out of the way in the end. But, you know, one thing I can say about Robertson, he was tough. He took more punches than I've seen any fighter take in a while. And he stayed on his feet. He didn't go down. He actually got stopped. I think, was it the 6th round? I'm not sure, but I think it was the 6th round. Actually got stopped by the ref. You know, good decision. Finally, they stopped this fight. Babic is rebuilding after his loss. I think it's difficult for Babic because he's not a heavyweight. As you go up the ranks at heavyweight, he's going to get found out, and he knows that. He went to bridgerweight and lost at bridgerweight also, so he's kind of in no man's land. You know, he has to kind of pick his opponents carefully. He obviously can't fight some of these elite guys that are 6'5", 6'6" plus. You know, so, you know, there are fights out there for him, but it's just difficult. He's just not really powerful enough at heavyweight. And I mean, he had a hiccup at bridgerweight. Maybe he can fight at cruiserweight, I'm not sure. But for now, he's got a good win, and there are a lot of fighters at heavyweight that Alan Babic could beat. So I'm not sure where he really goes, but this is good for his confidence. I would still throw him in there with, you know, the likes of maybe, you know, a Cash Ali. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Cash Ali. But I mean, if Alan Babic wanted a shot at kind of greatness, I wouldn't mind seeing him in there with Joe Joyce, to be honest. You know, I'd like to see how Joe Joyce would deal with Alan Babic. You know, that could be an amazing fight. But other than that, that might be reaching a bit too high. Let me know what you think. Who do you think Alan Babic should fight after this performance? Who do you think Ben Whittaker should fight after his performance? And if you've got any views on Chris Kongo, let me know. I'm on to the next one.
I said, guess who's back? Man, guess who's back?